Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're having a great weekend. So, we're going to go ahead and continue with the same format that I talked about before, where I actually have something to cover with you. So, I'll say hello for about the first 5 minutes. Then we'll get to our subject matter. And then after that, we'll finish our salutations and doing a little bit of Q&A. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're all doing well. How you doing, Copernicus? Good to see you. Teresa Yahoo, how are you doing? Good to see you from Central Michigan or from South Central Michigan. Yarn Prepper is in the house saying, get your preps indeed, ladies and gentlemen. And check this out. Thank you, Yarn Prepper. If you want to support the channel and you're going to buy something anyways, use my link. It doesn't cost you any more, and it takes a few pennies away from Bezos. That way he can have less trips out to space. Anyways, S.J. Mullen, how you doing? Children Munitions, how you doing? Michelle, how you doing? Michelle, I'm going to try this, Michelle. Okay, Michelle Chiancone. I probably messed that all up. Sarita Loves Living is in the house. How are you? Cuba Bound, Linda Bob, Janet Nice. JT is in the house as always. Hello, JT. Good to see you. Long Dog T is in here. Let's see. Lisa Foster, Granny. Kevin Grip is in the house. How you doing, Kevin? Michael, how you doing, Michael? Good to see you. Terry Moorhead, Colorado Prepper Pack Rat, CPP. Okay. Rick Massey, how you doing? Atropian Vet, Grandbabies La Rosa, good morning to you. Let's see. Nita Love is in the house. Tonette is here, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, Tonette. Say hello to the hubby for us. And look at that. Thomas from Austria is in the house as well. Good to see you all. Janet Nice, Terry Moorhead. I'm coming in 5x5. Outstanding. Thank you. We actually have pretty decent reception today. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Wild Willie is here. How you doing? Good morning. Taco Bob. Hope you're doing well as well. Thank you. Everything is going pretty good up here, Linda Bob. Can't really complain. Right now, it's 1 degree outside. So we've got 1 degree outside. The bunker, when I came in, it was at about 59 degrees, I think, which is just fine with me. That's pretty comfortable for me. My feet are a little bit chilly because I just got my Crocs on, but other than that, not too bad. Catherine, hello, how are you? Pilgrim Prepper is here. Betty, Angela, Judy Prepper, Michelle Reed, Jeep Girl, Terry, Laura Williams, good afternoon. All the way from North Texas. Janice, how you doing? Southern Tier Prepper is here. Rose, Anita, Eric Tyler, how you doing? Lisa Brooks, Tammy Southern Homestead. Tammy Bites, how you doing? Tammy Southern Homestead, how are you? Oh, I got the wrong one. Alex Adrian, how are you doing? Good to see you. YTU 685, good to see you. Moonlight, Pat Small. Hey, I didn't see who won yesterday. Who won the car over at Frontier Preppers yesterday? I think they were giving a car away for their 5,000 subscriber. Let's see. Milk and Honey, how you doing? Margie Straka, Faye Z, PJ Kentucky, New Florida Prepper, outstanding. Trucker Hersey is here. Trucker Hersey says, I quit my job on the Crack Hound to home. Wow. Everybody's quitting, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody wants to work. Trucker, let us know why you quit your job. Let us know why you quit your job exactly. That'd be pretty interesting. Jean McGlon, how are you? Jennifer, Dana Green, hello from Texas. Gone Squatchin, Tinkerbell, Stephanie. Village Homestead is here. How you doing, Village Homestead? Crazy Life, how are you? Good to see you. Hello, Linda. Good to see you. Disney Up is here. Don't you know? Ray Chan, Joyfully Orange, Judy Prepper. Let's see who else. Prepper Mom 5 PA, Ozarks Horse Lady. How are you? Dog Gonnet, the Saxon of Riverstone. I like it. TJM, hello from Oklahoma. Holly Tyler, Take America Back from Israel. Hello from Florida. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Cindy Plant, happy Sunday to you as well. Let's see. Cindy Plant says, we bought the candelier a few days ago. It looks like it will be a great addition. Absolutely. I love the candelier. And, you know, I don't know, maybe not tomorrow. I'm not sure if I can do it tomorrow or not. Sometime this week, I'm going to spend 8 hours in the bunker straight. Usually I don't spend that much time in the bunker straight. Once in a while I do. I'll spend 8 to 12 hours in here. I try to keep it to about less than 8 hours, 6, 7 hours sometimes. I don't really want it to feel like a job, right? But I'm going to spend at least 8 hours in the bunker, and I'm going to go ahead and heat the bunker only with my candeliers. I think that we'll be able to do it with 2 because it's really not that cold. Now, last winter, I was able to keep the bunker around 60 degrees with 2 candeliers, and it was negative 26 outside. But I want to go ahead and do it at a regular temperature around here. So about 0 degrees in the single digits is a temperature that a lot of people can see the thumbnail and be like, oh yeah, this guy's not clickbaiting, because it may seem like it's clickbait when I say, yeah, I heated the bunker with 2 of these and it's negative 26, just so that you can all see that it really does work. All right. Anyways, Ice 124, Laura, Alaska Gwen, how you doing? Teaching a new Alaskan and another how to pressure can. That is outstanding. Reach one, teach one. Javona, how are you? The pesky patriot. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring it down to the bottom. We're going to go ahead and talk about something here for a few minutes. And then after that, we'll pick it right back up. And we'll do Q&A. We'll just go back and forth for a little bit after that. But I wanted to talk about something, because something that I've noticed that I really want to explain to you all. And I was actually over at Billy and Dee's house yesterday, at Frontier Prepper's house, and I finally had some cafecito. Man, it's been such a long time. Then when that thing hit my mouth, I was like, oh my goodness, it's been too long. But anyways, we were talking about that, and I thought that I'd talk about that here. That way you can all know where I'm coming from and understand why, right? Now, for some people, what I'm about to say may trigger you, but don't have a knee-jerk reaction. Listen to my entire spiel. That way you can understand the whole story, right? Instead of just, hearing a few words and then leaving, right? Because for some people, they may be like, what in the world, AP? What are you talking about? So in several comments from videos where I talk about the free market and corporations and all these things like that, I've often said that I support corporations, big ones, small ones. I support mom and pop shops. And some people are like, how can you support big corporations? Well, you have to understand where I'm coming from. I support the free market. I support free enterprise. And that is not what we have. And I want to tell you exactly what I mean when I say I support big corporations. First of all, almost everything that we need in order to live the standard of living that we've been used to now, right? If you want to have computers, if you want to have cars, if you want to have just about any gadget that is sold out there, most of it is sold through big corporations. So, AP, why do you support big corporations when they're so corrupt? I agree 100%. I believe that a lot of the major corporations, especially those that are going the way of ESG, right? If you don't know what ESG is, go ahead and look it up. Look up my video that I did a few days ago, within a week ago or so, about ESG, and you'll know exactly what I mean. So our corporate like CEOs and executives, are a lot of them crooked? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. I would say that a lot of them are. But why do you support them? Well, before we get into that, I want to go ahead and just ask you a couple of questions. So you know that there's a lot of states where crime is rampant, right? Like there's a lot of crime. Like I think it's in San Francisco, where you will not be charged with a felony unless you steal like $950 or more worth of something. So you can go into a grocery store and steal $800 worth of stuff and walk out of it, and you're not even going to get in trouble. The cops aren't even called. The police are not even called. When someone walks in and steals hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and then you have flash mobs that come in because they know that that law exists. They know that that law is there. They come in as flash mobs, and everyone just wipes out the store. I'm sure that you've all heard those stories and or read those stories on different articles from different either social media or even mainstream news, I believe, has covered it. So why does that happen? Do you or does anybody have sympathy upon those people that are doing the crime, right? A lot of us probably would say no, because what they're stealing is things that they don't really need. You don't see people trying to steal loaves of bread, bum rushing a supermarket and stealing just a loaf of bread and a half gallon of milk because they're starving. No, you see them going into stores where they sell high-end items, and they're stealing those things. So no, there's no empathy for people that want to commit crimes, especially when it's crimes that, I can understand if someone was stealing because they needed to eat and they couldn't get help anywhere else. But then again, there's plenty of places where you can go get help to get food, where a food bank will give you food, a soup kitchen will actually give you a hot meal. So no, so then why is it that those people that decide to commit those crimes, why do they do it? Because they can get away with it, right? They can get away with those crimes. So what I'm getting at is that if there were more police officers, and if the police officers actually enforced the law, and if the laws that were written were not laws that were written against the mom and pop shop, against the business, all right, because those laws are against the mom and pop shop, they're against the business, they're against the taxpayer, right? Why? Because those mom and pop shops and those businesses, they have to recoup the money that they lost from these people stealing that stuff out of their store. So it hurts the constituents of those same people that are passing the laws that affect how many police officers there are, that affects how the law is applied to certain groups. So how do we solve that problem? The way that we solve that problem, and I believe that a lot of you would agree with me, is you have more police and you actually enforce the law, right? So if you have more police and you enforce the law, you can solve that problem. So how do we solve the problem of corporations doing the misdeeds that they do, right? This is where I want to get at. I want to show you something really quick. This is why corporations get away with the things that they get away with. And when you hear me say something like, well, a corporation has to make a profit in order for them to put out a product, that's just fact. Anyone that can't make a profit is not going to put out a product. But the question is why do these huge corporations that a lot of us can name off a whole bunch of them, right? Why do these huge corporations get away with the things that they get away with, right? Why do they get away with the things that they get away with that hurts the average person? Let me show you why, ladies and gentlemen. This is why right here. All right. This is how much money has been spent on lobbying from 1998 to 2021. And this is per year. So if you take a look at the upper right-hand corner, the upper right-hand upmost number is $3.73 billion. Last year, there was $3.73 billion spent on lobbying. And what does lobbying do? Lobbyists go up there and they use those monies that they have in order to influence politicians to write laws that favor corporations. That is why the tax code is about, I believe, around 11 or 12,000 pages, right? The United States tax code is about, I think it's like 12,000 pages long, of which only 500 of those pages are on taxes, different taxes that have to be paid from different corporations, different people, the tax brackets, all that stuff. And then the other 11 plus thousand pages are pages that include loopholes that people can use to pay less taxes. So if you have a business, for example, let's say that you own a bakery, a mom and pop bakery, and you said, you know what, this year I'm going to take all of my profits. I made $200,000 this year after taxes. I'm going to take that entire $200,000 and I'm going to hire a team of lawyers that's going to look through that 11,500 pages of the tax code so they can advise me or advise my CPA or financial advisor, or whoever it is, so that they can advise them of all the loopholes that I can take advantage of so that I can pay zero taxes. They would pay a lot less taxes than what they're paying. But the reality is this, is that the average mom and pop shop doesn't have money to lobby politicians so that they can write in loopholes into the tax code that would be advantageous to that mom and pop shop. They don't have that money to pay the politicians to lobby them. So they get stuck having to look through that 11,500 pages on their own. And how many do that? I would say not very many at all. So what's the real problem? Because you see those people that go out there and they bum rush a supermarket or a high-end store, whatever it is, and they take their $900 product out of there and they steal it out of there, that they don't get prosecuted. In my opinion, most criminals are going to be criminals no matter what. So how much can you do to change them? You can change their behavior. You can change a criminal's behavior by having something that opposes their action, having a yin to their yang, right? So how do you change that behavior of people bum rushing a store and stealing $900 worth of stuff so that they won't be prosecuted? By changing the law and by changing how you enforce the law, actually deciding to enforce it. So when we look at corporations and we call them criminals and all that, it could very well be true that they are criminals, that there are criminals there. But the real criminals, ladies and gentlemen, are the people that write the laws, or the people that take their money and that write the laws that allow these corporations to get away with the things that they get away with. Because like I said, a criminal is going to be a criminal, right? But whose job is it to stop the criminals? It's the job of the lawmakers and the job of those people that enforce the law. However, if the lawmakers don't put it into law where a law enforcement officer can actually enforce that law that is being broken by a criminal, then their hands are tied. So when I say that I support big corporations, I do. Why? Because any small mom and pop shop would get away with the same thing that big corporations get away with if they could. The thing is that they can't. But why can they not? Because our elected officials, ladies and gentlemen, they're the ones that write the laws. Excuse me. And those laws that our elected officials write, that they write a lot of times because they've been lobbied, i.e. paid off, it influences the good things to happen to the big corporations. So it's like I said, the big corporations, yes, they're criminals. They make things that we need, but they take advantage of the population. They take advantage of us. They're not in it for us. They're in it for pure profit. That's why people get into business. But whose fault is it really that the big corporations get away with the things they get rid of? They get away with? It's the fault of the lawmakers that pass those laws and those loopholes that they can use to get away with it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, for example, look at the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission. One of their jobs is to, regulate like the stock market and ETFs. And one of their jobs that I follow is they regulate and they oversee the precious metals. How many articles have I shown you in the past where big banks, not small banks, not mom and pop, huge banks have been caught red-handed committing felonies and no one's gone to jail, or at least no one that matters? Maybe a million here or a million there goes to jail. And how is it that a layman, a person that does not have the PhDs that these organizations have, like the SEC, can see with their naked eyes, without really having to look too hard, how the precious metals market has been manipulated for decades and decades, but the SEC cannot? That is where the problem starts. It's just like I tell my wife, whenever we have a conversation of this happened to this person, that happened to this person, this kid did that, if she sees a story or something, I always tell her it starts at home. It starts at home. Well, with leadership, it starts at the top. If the lawmakers that we elect to write those laws that will protect us, if they're writing laws that protect them, the people that are paying them from these big corporations, who do you think is going to win? So I am for free market. I am for someone capitalizing off of something that the population needs. If I make a flip-flop for $1 and it's the best flip-flop in the world because I did something different to it than anyone else has ever done to it, and I sell 1 billion flip-flops for $2, I should be able to keep that $1 billion that I made, because it's a fair trade. I put in the work to build something that a whole bunch of people wanted and that were willing to trade their $2 for that $1 flip-flop that it cost me to make for $1. So I profited $1. I should be able to keep that, right? I should be able to make that. So if I just happen to go out there and get really good marketing and I can sell 2 or 3 billion flip-flops because they're so awesome, all right, I should be able to keep that money, right? But that's not how it works. because unless I pay someone up there on Capitol Hill so that I can be allowed to, someone said once that the government's like a big mafia. If you want to play, you have to pay. All right, because if not, the competitor that's already paid them, my flip-flop competitor that's already paid them, they're probably going to pay them a little extra to make sure that I can't go follow through with my patent or whatever it is that it's going to take. So if you want to play, you have to pay. And that's the problem. That's how I see it. That's how I see that the biggest problem is. It all starts atop. If you want to have a good country, you have to have good leadership. You have to have morals within that leadership that won't be bought off by the highest bidder. You have to have someone with morals that would actually follow the rule of law instead of making up their own rules for profit. So when you think that a corporation is profiting off of you, they may be profiting off of you, but it's because of the laws that have been written by the people that we put in a place that's supposed to be there to protect us. And that's all I have to say about that. But I'd like to talk about it some more if you all have any input on that. And look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That was a quick one today. So I just want to put out there that I'm not for the actions that corporations take and ripping some people off, right? But I am for the free market. But I'm not for lawmakers being able to take money from anyone in order to influence how business is run in our country. They should not be passing any laws that any lobbyist lobbied for because they paid them money. And we all know that happens. I think in 2021, there was 192 bills that were passed in the Senate. Out of that 192 bills that were passed in the Senate, how much of that do you think each of those bills got from that $3.73 billion that was used in lobbying? Think about it. If you break down $3.73 billion by 192, let me take out my calculator. You won't be able to see it. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That is, ladies and gentlemen, that's $19 million. If you break down $3.73 billion, but if you divide it by 192 laws or bills that were passed in the Senate, that's $19 million per bill. All right. When you think about it that way, who's making that money? Where's that money going? Again, everything starts at the top. And if you want to blame corporation A, B, or C for whatever it is, you can blame them all they want. They're not going to change. They've already proven to the American people and the world that their allegiance is not to the people, that their allegiance is to themselves and to their overlords. They've already proven that. So how is it that anyone can think that they're going to change? They're not. The change has to come from that entity that is allowing them to get away with the things that they get away with. All right. I have that's all I have to say about that, because I could probably go on for another hour. Oops, no one's going to stop it. Things are going to stay the same until they crash. Trust me. No one in our government is going to stop any of the corruption. Look at that letter. I'm not going to get into this in depth because I want to keep the live stream going. But look, hey, asymmetrical preparedness. How you doing, brother? Good to see you here, man. I won't lose my train of thought. All right, but let's say hello to AP. This is another AP here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't checked out asymmetrical preparedness, go check him out. He's got a great YouTube channel. It's good to see you. So, oops, going back to who's going to stop the corruption? No one is. No one is. Can you make Washington do their job in a lawful manner? They can say that they do their job in a legal manner, but legal and lawful are two completely different things. Legal is by edict. Legal is by fiat. Just like that legal tender, right? Just like that legal tender that we're all used to. It's not law. It doesn't say lawful tender because it's not. It's not lawful money. This money was created by fiat, by edict. So it may be legal because they made it legal by signing a little piece of paper with a pen on a real fancy desk, right? But is it lawful? Absolutely not. This is not lawful money. Lawful money, according to the Constitution of these United States, is gold and silver at a set weight, right? I believe that silver, I'm not sure what gold is, but silver is 371.25 grains of silver equals $1 US. So there's a difference between legal and lawful. But what I'm getting at is that it's not going to stop the corruption. We're not going to stop the corruption. Our lawmakers no longer care about us. If anyone here doesn't understand that we, the American people, and I believe that most people around the world with their governments, but I'll talk about the USA. If you don't believe that our lawmakers have forsaken us, then you're going to have a very rude awakening one day when it all comes down, because it's all going to come down. There's nothing that they can do about it. They're going to get away with it as much as they can so that they can do what? So that they can prepare for the day that it finally collapses. The only thing that will change this system is two things, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion. One is that it would collapse on its own because the foundation is rotten. One is that it will collapse on its own. The second thing is something that I would never want to happen, because just take a look at what happened the last time and say revolution. Is when the people actually pick up sticks and stones and say, you're out of here. And we're putting in something that works. All right, but that, I hope that doesn't happen, because it would cause a lot of deaths. But we can also change it if we, the people of the United States of America, if we understood that we have the power as the people. But as I've previously stated, very often stated, is that we're too divided. We are way too divided in order for that to happen. So I believe that the only way that it will change for the better is it's going to have to get a lot worse first. There's going to have to be some kind of collapse. And history tells me that there will be a collapse, right? There will be a collapse of this monetary system. They already have another one in the background. They already have another monetary system in the background. You all know what that is. It's a system that's a lot worse than this. But the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why you really have to prepare is because before they implement that next system that can keep them in power, things have to get really bad. Something really bad has to happen in order for them to be able to implement that. Because when they implement that system, I believe it is the people that will ask for it. I don't believe that it will be forced upon us, meaning the majority of the population. I believe that the majority of the population, when whatever next crisis occurs, they'll probably let the population stew on that crisis for a while. They'll let it get bad enough to where the majority of the population, who's already in dire straits right now, is going to say, I'll take it. Is that your solution? I will take it. And thank you. And they're going to thank the government for handing them over a solution to a crisis that the government itself created, and then having that solution be something that will enslave the American people even more so than what we are enslaved now. So the only solution, in my opinion, is that there be a collapse. Well, when this new system comes about or comes to be, people are going to wake up in a hurry. And then I believe that after the majority of the people wake up, realizing, what have I done? Why did I agree to this? Why did I agree to this system that completely enslaves me and completely tells me what I can and can't do every single minute of the day? Why did I agree to this? When most of the people wake up to the fact that that system is complete enslavement, the people will come together. They will come together, and then we will have a new system that will be made of sound money. But that is why we prepare, so that we can resist and we can make it through whatever crisis they throw at us. And then hopefully we can one day find ourselves living within a system that is fair, that keeps the government in check, and that gives the power to the people. Because fiat currency, ladies and gentlemen, is what gives the government its power. What gives all of these corporations their power? That they can spend billions of dollars lobbying the government. What gives them their power is money. Because without that money, they can't lobby the government. They can't put politicians in their pockets without that power. That's the power that they have, is money. The government has that same power, money. The fiat currency that they print is their power over us. But one day when we have to go back to a sound money system, because the people will accept nothing but, then the power is shifted to the people, because sound money is what keeps the government in check. If they don't have the money to spend on their discretions, on their black ops, on all of the things that they do in order to try to control other nations and us, if they don't have that money because they are being kept in check through a sound money monetary system, then they won't have the power. We will, right? And if we have laws that are changed where it says that corporations cannot donate, there should be absolutely no donations going to any political of anything, any politician of anything, even if it's an election year and anything, there should be absolutely zero donations. I would have absolutely no problem if some of my tax money went to elections, to where it said, all right, each candidate is going to have $1 million for ads or whatever it is. I would be comfortable with doing that, because at least it would give equality to those people that are running. So one of them can't speak over the other because they have $100 billion and the other one's only got $1 million. So no one's going to listen to them. No one's going to hear their voice because they don't have the funds in order to advertise. I would have no problem giving up tax dollars for that, because in the long run, it will save us a lot more money. It will save us a lot more of our wealth and our time and our freedoms, most importantly. That was probably a really long answer to a very short question. Hey, how you doing, Matu? Good to see you. Potato Head, how are you? Billy Bob, how you doing? Grateful Preps NJ, how you doing? Lynn Jacobs. Wendy Black, how are you? Paul Kish. City Girl Homestead is here. Aurora, how are you doing? No, I don't understand that there. Who is that? Randy Brown, how you doing? Rebecca? Man, that's a great deal, Mario. $5 for a bucket? No, wait a minute. Let me read this. I got so insanely lucky. I found zero water on clearance in Walmart for $5. That is a great deal. Heck, I would pay $5. I'd be happy to pay $5 for the filter itself, just alone. And Mountain House chicken teriyaki for $3. Wow, that's a good deal too. I would have scooped some of those up for sure. It makes me want to go to Walmart, but I don't really go to Walmart very often. How you doing, Granny Prepper? Good to see you. Hey, thank you, YTU. Powerball jackpot is $1 billion. I hope you don't live in Illinois. Is Illinois paying out the Powerball now if somebody wins? I know a few years back they were giving people IOUs. Hello, Lisa. Zane, how you doing? Subdog, how are you doing from Ontario? Big Bad John, how you doing? Good to see you. EMC, City Girl Homestead. Linda Beach. Let's see. Leslie Black, thank you very much for joining the Ladies and Gentlemen's Club. The 49th state, how you doing? Good to see you. Rustic Hillbilly, how you doing? Yeah, absolutely, Milk and Honey. I believe that I don't like saying dates this far out. But remember, I'm a cycles guy. And listen, I'm working on doing an interview with a cycles superstar. All right, that's all I'm going to say. And we'll have to see what happens with that. I'm terrible at doing interviews, but man, this guy is just awesome. So I hope that it works out. But I've been saying that, well, I don't really say this too often. But like I said, I'm a cycles guy. I think that things won't start to get better. Right, and don't till about 2033. I think that things are going to continuously get worse all the way through like 2032 before they start to get a little bit better. I just think that's what it is. If you take a look at the cycles and all the stuff that's going on. So just keep preparing. I mean, that's all you can do. Hopefully once you get to a place where you feel very comfortable with what you have, you can continue to fill in the gaps slow and steady. And really that's the best way to do it, because once you have everything in your pantry that you need for a year, you can concentrate on getting peripherals. Like, what is that? I'm not sure if you saw that video I put up yesterday about the night vision goggles, but that's like a peripheral. That's something that gives you a tactical advantage in a given situation, but it's not something that you need in order to be prepared. So that's what I mean if you have everything that you're going to need for the next year or two in your pantry and water filtration, those top things that you need to sustain life. Then after that, you can start concentrating on getting peripherals, other things that may enhance the way that you're prepared. and then filling in the gaps. And you'll be able to wait to fill in your gaps for the regular foods that you eat by waiting for them to go on sale. So that, having a full pantry at today's prices will actually save you money next year, right? When the prices are even higher, because you'll be able to wait it out, live off your preps for a little bit. And then when something goes on sale, you just stock up on that and fill it back into your pantry. Georgia Peach, how you doing? Good to see you. I have no idea what's going on with this, the Margot. How are you, by the way, the Margot? I don't know what's going on with this. I haven't really seen anything on this, so I can't speak about it. How you doing, Jim Stock? Good to see you. Morse Venture Channel, how are you? JJV Homestead. Yeah, good point, JJV. There's no way that we vote our way out of this. Absolutely not. There is going to, man, when I say this, I was thinking the other day, if someone wanted to go to all my videos and just take out little clips and stuff, they can compile them and make me sound like such a nut. They can make me sound like I'm crazy, but there is no way out of it. There's no way out of this. We are going to continue to have inflation. And I read something where the Federal Reserve Chairman, Mr. Powell, I'm not sure if it was him, but somebody from the Federal Reserve was saying that they're trying to make the new goal for inflation 3%. Well, what they're saying, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear that from the mainstream media or from a Federal Reserve or government pundit, that they want their inflation rate, their target rate to be 3%, what they're saying is that they want to, instead of stealing your money, or instead of stealing your purchasing power at 8% or 9 or 10% a year, they just want to steal it at 3% at a time. That's all it is. Inflation is 100% theft, right? The definition of inflation is when new monies are added to the economy, to the system. And where did that new money come from? It got printed out of thin air. It got brought from nowhere into existence. It got thrown into the economy. Now that's making the dollars that's already in the economy, that was actually worked for, that someone labored for, is making that worth less. So inflation is only a fancy name for theft. It is the theft of your time and your labor. Because over time, at a 2% inflation rate over the average work life of an adult, you lose about 60 to 70% of what you've earned throughout your life. Think about that. And that's not even counting taxes. That's not even counting the taxes that you pay for your income tax or anything like that. This is just through inflation. You lose between 60 to 70% of what you worked for in your life. Inflation is pure theft. Inflation is not going to stop. It's going to continue. And eventually the system will break. We will have what I believe is a liquidity crisis like the world has never seen, ever, in all of humanity. And a lot of people will succumb to that because even though it's fiat currency, it represents energy. And without energy, you can't live. And if there is a liquidity crisis, one that takes down all the banks, there's not going to be anything for people to trade energy with. And if you can't trade for energy, then how are you going to eat? How are you going to live? Because as I've stated often, the potato farmer, he may love growing potatoes, but as soon as you don't pay him for those potatoes, he ain't going to grow them for you anymore, right? And we're not going to be trading eggs for potatoes, right? Some people may. Probably someone here, right here, may be able to do that, right? Like, on a personal basis, but not the country, right? So let's go on down. How far behind am I? Oh, look at that. It's not terrible. It's not terrible. Let's see. How you doing, Wendy Blank? Good to see you. Edward, how are you doing? Edward Petters. Rex, how are you doing? Watchlist Prepper, how are you? Morse Venture, how are you? Rosita R. Tinkerer, how are you doing? Yeah, 100% EMC, 100% Hegelian dialectic, 100%. That is what governments thrive on. They thrive on crises because then that way they can provide you with that solution for the crises that they themselves created. Excuse me. Starbright Pam, how you doing? Linda Beach, how are you? Selene or Celine77, good to see you. RR Animal Rescue, how are you? Let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, listen. I mean, I'm probably going to face this all the time. Look, I am a person of faith. I shouldn't have to tell you all the time that, yes, the Lord is in charge. The Lord will take care of you, right? The Lord will give you the resources that you need in order for you to take action. So only because I don't mention it, it doesn't mean that I don't live it or I don't mean it. Because I always have people telling me, you forgot about the Lord. I'm not saying anything bad about you, cleaner, because I face it all the time. I see it all the time, but most times I just don't talk about it, right? So I am a person of faith, but in my opinion, that's already known. That's already known, okay? That the Lord will take over when he needs to, right? But the Lord right now is actually helping people that are watching prepper channels, people that are actually becoming awake as to what's going on and getting away from the mainstream media. In my opinion, I'm not a prophet. I never claim to be or none of that kind of stuff, all right? But in my opinion, the Lord is putting in those people's hearts to start listening, right? But it's like I've always said, you can have all the hope that you want, but hope without preps, hope without preparation, hope without action is just hope, okay? So only because I don't mention the Lord all the time, it doesn't mean that I don't have faith. It doesn't mean that I don't believe that you should follow, follow what, have you ever had a thought in your head that said, man, maybe I should do this? And you do it? Where did that thought come from? All right, that's all I'm going to have to say about that. It happens to me all the time. That's why I'm so broke all the time. Let's see. Linda says, being the Powerball is up to $1 billion. How in the name of God will that person be able to get their winnings out of the... They're not. They're not. But if they're smart, hopefully they'll be able to get into some assets, real assets. Remember that the wealthy, they're not wealthy because they're rich with paper dollars. They're wealthy because they're rich in assets. And in inflationary times, assets go up where paper dollars, their value go down. Okay. Yeah, this is a great point, CD. Get rid of the MSM. It will take away Elite's mouthpiece. Great point. I was talking with Billy yesterday. I said, I know how we can fix our country's problems. I know how we can fix it all in like a matter of 6 months. We can fix it all. Get rid of mainstream media, get rid of the radios, get rid of social media, everything. It's almost like we had an EMP, but just for information, right? It's almost like we had an EMP, but just for information. Get rid of all of it and just let people live. Just let people live their lives. We can keep newspapers, right? We can keep some newspapers, but mainly local newspapers, right? And let people live their lives. And after that 6 months of none of that stuff, most people aren't going to want it back. And I bet you that most people will be more joined together with each other. We'll get to know each other, right? Because right now we live in a world where most people don't even know their neighbors, right? But take all of that stuff away, and I think we can fix it because it'll be enough time for people to realize what's really important, right? At least that's what I thought. How you doing, Sunshine State Survival? Good to see you. Love Pugs, how are you? Snipe Huntress. Pepper Book Club, how you doing? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question or something that you want to share with someone or with the community, put it all in caps, okay? So I don't miss it. I'm pretty far behind, so I'm going to start coming down a little bit fast. But if you have your stuff in all caps, I'll more than likely catch it. Okay, Michelle, how do I make charcoal from royal oak, all natural hardwood? There's some videos on YouTube how to do that. I can give you the gist of it. Making charcoal is really not that difficult. There's a couple of different ways, but if I have to make it, what I would do is I would get a steel drum, like a barrel, a steel drum. I would fill it up with wood, and then make sure that I can seal it. So one of those barrels that has a lid that you can actually lock on there and it seals it really well. Then what you do is you build yourself a nice big bonfire, like a big bonfire that you can continue to add wood to. And then you take that drum and you make sure that you put it in the middle of that fire. So take the drum, put it on top of all the wood that you're going to catch on fire, and put as much wood as you can. And what will happen is that wood inside of that drum, as it's heating up from that fire, and I forget how many hours, but it's not for just a couple of hours. It's like for maybe like a half of a day or so. But when it burns in there without any oxygen, it's only going to use the oxygen that it has in there. When it burns in there just with its own gases, it turns that wood into charcoal. I've never done it. I've just seen it be done a few times. But look it up on YouTube. I'm sure that you'll come up with a whole bunch of videos where they show you how to do it. How you doing, Clint Eastwood? Good to see you. Briar Patch, how you doing? Let's see. Let's bring it on down. Well, Gracious 48, I hope you heard me say hello to you earlier today, all right? So I hope that your cookies aren't ruined. Hey, Passionate Herbs, good to see you. Welcome and happy Sunday. All right. I have to get the big one out today for the coffee. All right, let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, this week I've got a fun video that I'm going to put out. I went into my pantry and I still have to get one more thing. I went into my pantry and I grabbed food items out of my pantry, obviously food that are really old, right? That are like 5-6 years old. A couple of them are only like 2 or 3 years past their best buy date. And I'm going to open all of those things up and try them, try a little bit of them. And I'm actually going to make a meal with one of those or a few of those items. But a lot of them are like years and years past, to show you all that it does work. If you keep something in a room that is temperature controlled, void of sunlight, and all that good stuff as far as storage goes, that food will last. Okay, let's see. All right, bringing it down, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, how you doing, Forrest? I'm not sure if I said hello to you today. Doggone it, you can preserve lemons with salt in a mason jar by just stacking it with salt in there. But unless you have a lemon tree, if you're asking this because you have lemon trees and you have a whole bunch of lemons that you want to preserve, then yeah, you can preserve lemons with salt. However, if you don't have a whole bunch of lemons that is in excess, then what I would do is what I did. That the little lemon powder packets, you can get them on Amazon. We just bought a whole bunch of those boxes because it's a really good price for what you get. So I would rather put that little lemon powder, the dehydrated lemon juice in those packets. I'd rather put that away for long term than to take up all of the space that you would take up with actual lemons in mason jars. But again, it depends on whether you just have an abundance of lemons because you have a lot of lemon trees, or if you just want to put away lemons. That's what I would do. I would just get those lemon powder, because it's pretty much just lemon juice that's dehydrated. And I forget what they put in there. There's like one more ingredient that they put in there. I'm not sure I don't think it's citric acid. It might be citric acid, but it wouldn't make sense if it is. Okay, let's see. How you doing, Christine Ann? Good to see you. Lita Knows, how are you? Oh, there's Frontier Preppers. There they are. Hey, how you guys doing? How you doing, Georgia? Good to see you. YTU, I'm really sorry that it took me so long to get to your super chat, but you know how it is. Thank you, by the way. Where is a good resource for buying 4-gallon milk crates? Lowe's I've seen. You know what? I've never seen those around here at all. I really haven't. I think I only have one of those that was given to me years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know of a good place to go get some of these, leave it all in caps. See if we can help out YTU. I like that, JT. God won't multiply your food if you don't have any. Amen. All right, I'm bringing it down. Oh, they'll never let that happen, Viv. They're never going to let that happen. Uh, you know, if you were to ask me, is that gold still there? It might be, but it might belong to someone else. Right? It might be, but it might belong to someone else. What I think though is that even though I like the gold, I think it's 8,354 tons. I think it's 8,000 something. If that gold is there and it belongs to someone else, let's say it's been leased out to other entities, I believe that we have enough gold here in the United States that's underground that still needs to be mined. I believe we have enough to where will be absolutely no problem going on a gold standard and us still maintaining a good standard of living. But you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that the reason that the government doesn't like gold, it's not because we don't have enough or the price of gold may be too much. It has nothing to do with the nominal price of gold or whether we have enough or don't have enough. We have plenty of gold to go on a gold standard. We do. You know, even if no more gold was ever mined from the earth, we still have plenty of gold above ground to go on a gold standard worldwide. The question is what would the price per ounce be? Right? The reason that governments don't like gold is because of what I talked about earlier. Is because it takes away their power. It restricts how much they can spend. And spending is how the government stays empowered. In power. Money is how they stay in power. That's why they love their printing press. That's why they love the system that we have now, because they can stay in power just by pushing a button. They can get all the money that they want without us ever knowing. The only thing that we realize year after year is that our labor is not enough to keep up with what we need in order to live. It keeps taking more and more labor every year. Or in other words, what we realize every year is that the value, the purchasing power of the money that we earn is lower and lower. That's what we realize. But how does that happen if the government is not printing as much money as they are? That's exactly why it happens, because they are printing as much money as they are. I mean, just last year, 2021, the government collected, I think it was $4.3 or $4.4 trillion in taxes. That's how much the government collected last year, 4 point something trillion. Well, it spent 6.7 trillion. So it spent about 50% more than what it collected. Now, where did they get that money? A lot of it they borrowed, and a lot of it they printed out of thin air. That's where they got it. How you doing, Brian Wright? Good to see you, brother. Samantha Sweet, how you doing? Lilia, how are you? George Washington, hello. Good to see you here, George Washington. Yeah, there you go. I mean, what happens, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, it doesn't happen here because I don't have many neighbors, but what happens when the lights go out? You know, let's say you live in a cul-de-sac and the lights go out for 2 days. What happens? People start coming out and neighbors start talking to each other. And then as soon as the lights come back on, guess what? It's back to doing what you were doing and maybe waving hi every once in a while. We have lost each other is what's happened. Oh, great question, the Prepper Mantis. And to tell you the truth, I really, really like my answer to this. Same answer that I've used before. As far as barter items, I don't have a top 1 or 2 or 5. All right. The way that I think that barter, or the way that I consider doing barter, is I just get more of what I already use. So, for example, I mean, I do have alcohol. I do have adult beverages, right? Like whiskey and stuff like that. But I got those back when I used to, consume that stuff. I don't consume it anymore. But what I mean is get everything that you already use, just get more of it. So for example, if you know you're going to consume rice and you only need 200 pounds of rice for whatever time frame it is that you're prepping for, get more rice. If you're going to need canned meats, get more canned meats. Get a lot more of what you're already using. That way you don't have to try to guess what barter items you need to get. And the reason I say that is because everyone always forgets something, right? So whereas maybe you're overstocked on rice, one of your neighbors may be overstocked on beans and you don't have enough beans, and you can trade rice for beans. And you can use that example for anything. Maybe you're overstocked on canned meats, but you forgot all about stocking up on lighters. Well, maybe the neighbor down the road, he's a smoker, and he's like, hey, I'm going to stock up on lighters. Well, maybe you can trade a can of meat for a couple of lighters. You know what I mean? So in order to take the guesswork out of barterable items, I just tell people, get more of what you already get. Why? Because you know for a fact that you're still going to be able to use it because it's stuff that you already use, right? And other people forget to get stuff just like you forget to get stuff. So people can trade back and forth on what they have. Now, if you want to get barterable items that like most people talk about, like alcohol, or ammunition, which I wouldn't recommend bartering ammunition unless it's somebody that you really trust with your life and your family's life. That's the only way I would do it. I wouldn't recommend bartering like silver and stuff like that. I don't consider silver and gold as something that I would be using during a major crisis. It's something that I keep in order so that I can preserve a little bit of wealth going into the new system, going into the new paradigm, whatever it may be, or whatever financial system it may be that we land on when this is all over. But yeah, you can get cigarettes, tobacco. If you vacuum seal tobacco, it should stay for a very long time, actually. Some people may not think about getting extra matches to barter matches, candles. I mean, these are all things that, like I have all of these things because I know that I will use them all. So instead of trying to think hard about what can I get that I don't use that's going to be good to barter, I just get extra stuff of what I already have. I believe that the biggest barterable item that we're going to see people wanting to barter for is going to be food. So right now, if you have food, all that food down there, ladies and gentlemen, that's currency. That is a tangible item. All this freeze-dried food, that's all currency. Imagine what I can get for a number 10 can of nutrient survival oatmeal cookies during the SHTF. But in all honesty, right now, when you look at food, when you look at your pantry, think of it as currency. Those are life units that you have there to barter with. So I would say that a huge barterable item would be food, different types of foods, right? I hope I answered that question. Zach, I cannot tell you. Well, for those that I always forget to read the question, how long can you store water in BPA-free plastic containers? I can't tell you how long you can store it, obviously, because, I have some BPA-free plastic containers, but I rotate that water through it all the time. But what I would say is that if you're using it for pure storage purposes, if you're only using that container just to store water and that's it, I would make sure that when I put that water in there, I would use utility water from the city, and because it's already treated with chlorine and all that kind of stuff. If you're putting like well water in there, then I would make sure to add the appropriate amount of chlorine. You'd have to do the math on that, all right? If it's well water and it's pretty clean water, then I would put about 6 to 8 drops per gallon, all right? But you have to do your research on that because you're the one that's going to consume that water if you need to. Then what I would do is I would rotate it out every 6 months, all right? If that was me, I would rotate it out every 6 months. And even if I ever had to use that water in an emergency, I would still run it through a filter. Right. All right, let's go. Let's bring it down. How far behind am I? Oh, not terrible. Let's see. North Main guy, how are you? Are you aware of any dry goods that cannot be kept in a store in a store ship without heat. Okay, many items in Mylar. Well, I can tell you, are you aware of any dry goods that cannot be? Oh, preferably, you want to make sure that you keep your long-term food storage or any foods really in a temperature-controlled room. For it's just the optimal. It's optimal. It's the best thing that you can do to have it last a long time. Now, freeze-dried foods and really dry foods, like for example, rice and beans, wheat berries, stuff like that, oats that are very dry. If you put them in a Mylar bag in a 5-gallon bucket, of course, using an O2 absorber, I would be comfortable with leaving them in outside conditions, even here in Alaska. I did a 1-year test, which is the first year of a 10 years consecutive. I did a 1-year test where I put I think it was 10 number 10 cans of Nutrient Survival under my tent, and I left it there for an entire year. And then this year we tried the powdered eggs. And even though it was temperatures of -40 all the way to temperatures of 100, and the reason why I'm saying 100 is it doesn't really get that hot here in Alaska, but that tent, when it's like 80 degrees here during our 2 weeks of summer, that tent inside, it gets really hot. It gets a lot more than 100 degrees in there. Right. So I'm going to try to build a little vent for it next year so it doesn't get that hot. But anyways, I took that can of powdered eggs and absolutely nothing wrong with it. Yeah, the paper that goes around it, the label was all faded and everything. But the inside, the product, absolutely nothing wrong with it. So next year around the same time, I think it was around August or September that we did that. So next year around September, maybe September, October, we're going to go back in there and get out our second can, which is going to be 2 years old under that same tent in the same conditions, and try it. But I think that rice will last a very long time if you store it, if you put it away properly and then you just leave it under a tent somewhere. But try it. All right, try it. I've got a bag of rice that's been sitting out in the elements for the last almost 3 years now. And I think we're going to break into that rice sometime this winter. And so that I can show you what it looks like after sitting there for 3 years in its original package. And then we're going to go ahead and seal up that packaging, leave it there, and do that same test every year until we run out of rice. Maybe we'll use 2 or 3 cups each year to see how it came out, how it cooks, and all that stuff. Let's see. Highly favored. Do portable travel water filters really work? I mean, we've got the Life Straws, which I'm not really a big fan of the Life Straws, but you've got the Sawyer Mini. I've actually done some tests on the Sawyer Mini, and they worked really well as far as how many parts per million they were inside of the water when we filtered it. So yeah, I trust those, but you have to try them out. Don't get gear and just throw it in a corner. Try it out. That way you can trust it. That way when it comes time for you to really need to use that you can trust it. Oh, is this John? Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. We have a YouTube superstar in the house, and his name is John. What's up, brother? Good to see you, man. I see you changed your thumbnail. It must have been a while, probably, but you changed your thumbnail. Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping on in. Mid CK, would you share your thoughts on the Dodd-Frank Act? I think the Dodd-Frank Act is the one that they got rid of, where it limited banks, how much money they had to keep in the bank and what they can actually do with the money that they had in deposits. So I believe that it limited them from being able to use the money in their bank to buy back their own shares, to actually play the stock market and things like that, and where they had to keep a reserve in the bank of a percentage of their deposits. I believe that's what it is, but I don't want to talk on it too much because, I've read up on this a lot, but I haven't read up on it lately because it's kind of an old thing. I think that they eliminated the Dodd-Frank Act. When was it? Like 2009 or something like that, or 12? They got rid of it. But correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't remember a lot of those really old things that's happened. I try to keep up with what's going on right now. The current bunker temp. Let me see if I can see this. I got to come all the way over here. It is 59 degrees. It's 59 degrees in here right now. 59 degrees, and it feels fine. I actually was able to put my heater in a perfect position in the bunker where it disperses the heat very nicely. So, and I'll show you all that when I do my bunker heating video. From what I understand, it is old woman, but you would have to talk to a professional because it depends on how big the flue is that goes up your chimney. I'm not sure if they have a certain diameter that a flue has to be in order to evacuate the gases and soot from wood as opposed to just gas. So I do know that they sell wood inserts for gas places, but you really want to, talk to someone that does that for a living. Oh, Randy, I'm not sure. I thought that they were going to be doing a live stream. I caught a live stream that they were doing here. I don't know if it was this last week or the week before, but I guess I can call Becky and ask and see what she says. Let me see. Man, that's great, Janet. Yes, just do a little bit every day. You don't have to do a lot. You do a little bit every day, and that's all you need to do. And especially once you're to a point where you want to be, just do a little bit every day, fill in those gaps, try to learn something new every once in a while. Maybe take out one of your old prepping stuff that you got. If you got a stove or fire making stuff, and just have a little bit of fun using it for a meal or something like that. You don't have to be prepping. Prepping should not be your life, right? I love talking about it. All right, that's what I was put here to do. It took almost 45 years for me to find out what I was put here to do, and it was talking to people about preparedness, talking to people about how bad the government is, and stuff like that. I love doing it, so I'm always thinking about it. And when I go to a store or something, I'm always looking around for sales because something may be on sale that I really want, or that I can add to my preps, and I can get it for a better price. So, but it shouldn't be your life. It really shouldn't be your life. All right, let's bring it down some. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. The true lemon. For that person that was asking about how do you store lemons, this is how I store lemons right here. The true lemon that they sell in the little packs. They also sell them in shakers, but we get the little packs. And it looks like here the only thing that they really have that citric acid. That's it. Yeah, it's pretty much just lemon with a little bit of citric acid, which that's what crystallized lemon is. Pretty much, it's just citric acid. So yeah, the ingredients are good and they pretty much last forever in their original containers, because those little envelopes that they come in, the little single serve envelopes, those are like little Mylar bags. They're lined. The inside is lined with Mylar. So either Mylar or metal, so they'll last pretty much indefinitely. I do know that after a while, citric acid might get a little clumpy. But man, I've had stuff with citric acid in it that was years past their best by date, and it really doesn't do anything to the flavor or anything, to tell you the truth. Oh, there you go. Lots of CVS shops throw milk crates away, really. So look behind the stores. Just make sure that you ask. Yeah, make sure that you ask them. You're probably doing them a favor if you're taking it and them not having to pay for that weight for their garbage. Okay, let's see. Okay, another lemon juice. Oh, hey, there's Derek. Hey, what's up, Derek? Thank you, brother. Say hello to Amber. Hello, my brother and sisters in the AP community. If you live in the lower Michigan, hit me up. So if you all live in Lower Michigan, hit up Derek so you guys can meet up, because I know we have a lot of you from Michigan here. Say hello to Amber for us, Derek, or hi, Amber, if you're listening. If you are listening, hello to you. Man, I've heard a lot of people say that raisins won't last long. Man, I'll tell you what, that just gave me an idea. That's one of the things that I'm going to take out. It's a pack of raisins that's way past the best by date. All right. Hopefully my wife or daughter haven't used it or anything like that, but I'll show you one that's way past, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So anyways, the question is, well, will the raisins in the trail mix stay good if vacuum sealed? Should I use that? I mean, I would use oxygen absorbers if I was putting it away for like long term, but if I was only going to put it away for like a year or two, I wouldn't even take it out of the original packaging. So if you're going to rotate through that within a year or two, I would just leave it in its original packaging, temperature controlled room, keep the sunlight out of it. You should be good. But yeah, the raisins will last. I mean, like I said, I'll just have to show you when I do that video. Raisins last a really long time. It's just a dried fruit is what it is. Hello, Kitsy Witsy. Good to see you. Imaginary Canary, how you doing? If I missed your question, ladies and gentlemen, please forgive me because I never catch every single one. Let me see. Soriano 698, how you doing? What are your thoughts on those goldbacks as currency? Will it ever see a big use as a bartering tool? The reason I don't personally like those goldbacks is because the premium is so high on those things. We could definitely use that as currency. I mean, that it would be very easy to use goldbacks as currency. And but the reason why I don't have them is because the premium is just so very, very high. And when you think about it, let's say that I don't have one goldback. I actually have a couple of them that one of you all sent me, I think a couple of years ago. Let's say that I don't have one goldback, right? And we do go into a gold back system. Let's say that the government say, yep, we're going to use gold backs. This is going to be our new money. Well, check this out. I can still take this silver coin and trade it in for gold backs, right? So however many gold backs I can get for this silver coin, I can still take it to a shop, get me whatever gold backs it is that I need for that silver coin, and then go spend the gold backs. How likely is it that we will actually have gold money in hand paying with gold, like gold bucks, the gold backs? I don't think it's going to be very likely. I don't think it's very likely. I think that the best case scenario is that we end up using currency. So for example, what this is here, first of all, people call this money. It's not money. This is a fiat currency, okay? The reason this is a fiat currency is there's really nothing backing it up. The reason that this is still around is because other countries around the world need this in order to buy oil, but that is going to go away soon, or to do international trade. That will go away soon once the SWIFT system is null and void, because people start going to bilateral trading with one another from different countries, I mean, right? So this is a fiat currency. It means that it's a currency that exists by edict, by law, not by law, but that is legal tender because some politician wrote something on a piece of paper, and now they said, this is what you have to use to transact publicly or privately, right? So this is a fiat currency. What would make this a currency, an actual currency, is, let's say, for example, that one of these equals one of these. So what would make this a currency instead of a fiat currency is that this would be a coupon for one of these, right? Or its equivalent, however many it takes, but this is just an example. So, which means that you can go to a bank, you can say, here's my currency, and the bank would be like, yep, here's your silver or gold or whatever it is that equals $100. That makes it a currency because it is being used as a vehicle for this. That way you don't have to carry these in your pocket because they weigh 31.10 troy grams, right? Or it's 1 troy ounce, right? 31.10 grams. What makes money is not this. This is a currency. A currency is used with real money in conjunction, right? This is money. This is real money. All of the value, it's already in it. This is a currency which promises you that one of these is backing it up in the bank. So as far as what the next system is going to have, what the next monetary system is going to be, as long as it is backed by a real asset such as gold, silver, it can even be backed by oil, it can be backed by our grain. As long as it is backed by something that is real, ladies and gentlemen, we're the ones that have the control. The people have the control. All right. Let's see. Let's bring it on. I'm going to have to bring it down some because I'm really far behind now. You get me to talking about money and gold and stuff like that, then you're going to lose me. I'm going to go on forever. Yes, milk crates behind grocery stores. Make sure that you ask, though, instead of just taking them. That way you don't get in trouble. How you doing, Saddle Ridge? Good to see you. Yeah, this is a great barter item. Making bread. You can make bread and sell it or barter it for stuff that you need. Hey, thank you, Eric Tyler. Thank you very much. What's your recommended reading list of preppers and even economics? Oh, yeah, I can tell you that real quick. So for prepping books, the very first prepping book that I read, it was a novel by James Wesley Rawls, and it was called Patriots. And it is a fiction, all right? It's fiction, it's not real. But that novel, as you're reading through it, there's a whole bunch of practical prepper things that you can do that you can learn from. So meaning it's kind of like a prepper playbook, but you get entertained by reading it. And it's an awesome book. He's got an awesome series of books based off of that first Patriots book that he wrote. So I highly recommend it. It's a great read. And he's also got him on audiobooks as well. Because I think that if you want to learn about prepping, if you first start out with something that entertains you, you're actually learning and being entertained at the same time. So it's a win-win, and hopefully it'll keep your attention for longer than just reading that one book or going through that one book. But I believe that for economics, the two most important books is first the book that woke me up, and that's Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins. And that's not really teaching you anything about economics, but what it teaches you is how the world works, how our government works. That way you can understand why it is that every time I come out here and I talk bad about the government, it's for a reason. We need to keep our government in check. And then you can see what it is that the government's done around the world, that the U.S. government's done around the world on our behalf, using our name, right? That are really bad things. I think that's a very important book for everyone to read, especially if you have a teenage. There's no graphic stuff in that book, by John Perkins. Especially if you have a teenager who's in high school, man, I think that's a great book for a teenager to read. It'll really let them understand what kind of a world they're walking out into. As far as economics, really, I'm talking about books here that will wake people up, obviously. But as far as economics, what's his name again? The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffith. That's a book that will wake you up as to what our financial system is and why it was made the way that it is. And I can tell you the answer right now is to keep us enslaved and to keep us poor. This financial system that we're living in right now, ladies and gentlemen, was created for one reason and one reason only, is so that a very small group of people can have all the power, and so that we, the people that are supposed to be served by this system, instead are taken advantage of by that same system. Let me see. The Margot. I believe I got Berkey filters in my Amazon storefront. All right, so you can check under the description of the video or any one of my videos, and you should be able to get to the Amazon storefront. And if you want to go window shopping, just click on the link and just take a look. Everything on there is something that I've either reviewed here on this channel or something that I have that I recommend. I don't try to put things on there just to put things on there. There are some things on there that I don't have, but they're like duplicates of things that I may have reviewed, but at a lesser price range. That way, someone that maybe can't afford that one thing can maybe take a look at something else that can substitute what that can do. Maybe it may not last as long, but can still get it because they can afford it. And I've always said that you get the very best that you can afford, right? And everyone's different. So, hello, Autumn Leaf. Good to see you. Be free, be frugal. How are you doing? Let me see. Be free, be frugal says, I find your videos on using out of date foods really interesting. Well, you know what? I haven't died yet. So that's a good thing. Well, I haven't gotten sick either. So, but no, I really like doing those videos every once in a while because, and I actually let some things, I've actually put some things to the side and let them get, pretty old on purpose just so I can do those videos. And the reason I like doing those videos and sharing them is so that I can show people, hey, look, this stuff is still good. Don't be afraid of using a can of green beans that's a month past the best buy date, because what you've been taught throughout your life that a best buy date means is not what it really means. So that's less food that's going to the landfills, and that's more food that's being used. And trust me, we're going to need our preps. So you better, if you have something against using something that's a year old past the best buy date, you better get used to getting over that. Yeah, very good, Jaybird. Yeah, I mean, anything really can be used as a barter item. Scissors, can openers is going to be a huge thing. So make sure you get yourselves a few really good quality can openers. Sewing supplies, absolutely. Small hand tools, especially tools also that maybe don't use any electricity, things like that. Let's see. Okay. Good prepper, if you asked a question by first of all, hello, good prepper. If you asked a question, forgive me, I didn't see it. But if you go ahead and repost it all in caps with the word question in front of it, and hopefully I can see it. Okay. That's if you're still here, because that was like 15 minutes ago. Oh man, that's awesome. Because I actually, one of the things that I'm going to show you all is some of my ghee that I've got that's almost 10 years old. I couldn't wait, ladies and gentlemen. It's almost 10 years old. Right. And that's one of the things that I'm going to show you on my the video that I do. But how long can you keep ghee? Oh, years. You'll see. Autumn Leaf, look out for that video. I'm going to be putting it up sometime this week. I can't tell you exactly what day, but I have one jar of ghee left, and I actually opened it and started using it. But you'll see it. You'll see, and I'll show you the date that I actually made it. And it's almost 10 years old, just shy, and it's still great. Right? It's still just fine. It actually tastes really good. I haven't been cooking with ghee very often. I've just been using our butter because I just want to keep the ghee that we have. But every once in a while, I do bring out a jar. And man, that old ghee, the one that I have that's really old, that thing tastes so good. It really does. I think that it ages really well. It gives it that nutty flavor. Very good. Hey, how you doing, Jenny T? Good to see you. Linda says 59 degrees. I'd be extremely cold. No, this is very comfortable for me. I have a jacket on, or a little hoodie type jacket. Very comfortable. In the house right now, I think when I came in here in the house, it was like 64 degrees, and that's like right where we keep it, around 64, 63, and that's very comfortable. Okay. Well, Laura, I personally wouldn't be purchasing any junk silver right now. The premium on junk silver right now is so incredible, so very high that I really want some more. I even have a new jar. I have this milk container that's made out of glass that my wife got at a little specialty shop that sells raw milk, and 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 I would love to start putting some like silver quarters in there. That way, over time, maybe a year or two, it can fill up. But I won't do it. I won't buy any junk right now. It's just way too expensive. You know what, Evie? I'm going to tell you what I really think. I think it's probably, now I don't know this. I haven't talked about this with Becky or Eric from Nutrient Survival, but I'll tell you what I personally think. All right. So I don't want you to think that this is coming from them. It's not. I don't think that they're going to be exporting to other countries anytime soon. I really don't. And the reason is because they're so darn busy just with orders from here in the United States. They're so darn busy that they do everything just to be able to keep up. Now, I do believe that they're looking into maybe ordering a new freeze dryer, which the freeze dryers that they use, it takes a while and they cost a lot of money. And it's like the size of a house, the freeze dryers that they use, right, at Nutrient Survival. So I do believe that they're looking into ordering a new one and then putting one in their warehouse so that they can double the capacity of what they can make. However, when that happens, they also have to think about doubling the capacity of their packaging equipment and all that kind of stuff that comes along with that. So I think that they're doing so much business right now that they just don't have the time to do exports, out of the country. But I could be wrong, and I hope I am. I hope that they can sell to anyone that wants it. Starbright, I think putting away a really good amount of salt is a great idea. Even though you don't use it, you can use salt for a lot of things. You can use salt to attract critters to come on your property that you may be able to harvest their meat. If it gets that bad, you can use salt to preserve meat. Let's say, for example, you have to go out on a hunt. And I don't know what your situation is, but let's say, for example, you have to go out on a hunt and you get yourself, a moose or an elk or a caribou or a big deer or something like that, and you don't have any other way of preserving it. Well, you can always smoke it. You can always build a smoker, but you can always use salt to preserve meat. And I'll tell you what, salt is going to be an incredible barter item, right? Especially if you don't live near any coasts. Man, you guys have some great questions today. Mudfoot Mama, one prep item that you think is overrated. Okay. So, man, there's so many prep items out there. I'm going to go ahead and cheat on this one, okay? Mudfoot Mama, I'll cheat on this one. I will say that the prep items that I feel that may be overrated, not necessarily, but may be overrated, are what I like to call peripherals, are those things that are outside of what you really need in order to survive. For example, I talked about the night vision goggles that I reviewed yesterday, or that I showed you all on the video yesterday, the military grade ones. I talked about those and I told people right off the bat, listen, you do not need these to survive. You do not need this to survive. Only because I'm showing it to you doesn't mean that you need it to survive. You need those basic things that you need in order to live, to survive, first and foremost. So I think that maybe if I had to pick one item, I would say freeze-dry foods. All right. This is not something that you have to survive. I hear it from so many and so often. I can't afford that. That's okay. Right? If you can't afford that, then it's not for you. Right? Go ahead and store up those things that you can afford that you already eat anyways. I believe that freeze-dry foods is a great way to diversify your foods. It's a great way to have layers of preparedness as far as food goes. It's a great way to have layers of preparedness, because this is the kind of stuff, although I do use it almost every single, well, I use it every day, every single day, because every single day I have some coffee, and that's Nutrient Survival coffee. But I use the food actually almost every single day. I'll have something or another. Yesterday I had some homestyle scrambled with eggs, and then I put a little cheese on it. So I had that yesterday. But people think that just because it's something that someone else makes, that they should get it. And that was my mistake. When I first started prepping, the very first food prep that I got was some freeze-dried foods. And I knew nothing about it. I just bought like a 2 or 3 month supply of freeze-dried foods, and I still have it. And guess what? It's actually still good. I tried it out about 1.5 years ago or so, and it's still good. Then again, I've stored it very well for the last several years, 10, 12 years now. But yeah, I think that one of the most overrated thing that people think they have to have so that they can call themselves a prepper is freeze dried foods, and I couldn't disagree more with that. And here is someone that loves this stuff, but because there's a place for everything. I believe that before you get into buying freeze dried foods, that you first stock up everything that you already eat, the things that you already eat. Once you have a full pantry of 6 months to a year or more, whatever you're comfortable with having, and you want to diversify your sustenance into freeze dried foods or dehydrated foods that you get from a third party, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. There is a place for freeze dried foods and those types of foods in an emergency. There is a place for it. All right. There are several reasons why you would want to have some, but you don't need to have it in order to survive. You don't. Let's see, where are we at? My goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we're at an hour and 30 minutes. Are you kidding me? Yeah, Chelsea, I did. I showed those on a payday prep. They have them in these little boxes that come in 500s. Yeah, we got several of those boxes. Every time that we keep at least 5 boxes of those. Every time that we go down one box, I'll order 1 or 2 more boxes because it's something that we really like. Those things go great in water. If you don't want to drink something that's bad for you, just get some high quality H2O and add some ice and a little packet of that lemon or lime to it. I think it goes great with it. All right, where are we at? Okay, let me start bringing it down. Again, if I did miss your question, please forgive me. It's not intentional, but okay. I'm trying to find any questions on my way down. Oh, and I do have a video coming up tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Later on today, probably in 4 or 5 hours or so, I do have a video that I'm going to release. Man, the 49 state, I put that video out months ago. I think the name of that video is This Is How I YouTube or something like that. This is how I YouTube, or something about this is how I show my passion on YouTube. But yeah, I showed that video off a while ago, at least 2 or 3 months ago. It was in the summer. So go to my videos and look for This Is How I YouTube or something like that. And you should be able to find it because I showed you everything that I used. I showed you the software that I use on my computer for editing. I showed you my editing software that I use for my phone if I ever edit on my phone. I showed you the camera, the microphone that I use, the computer, all that stuff. Surviving behind liberal minds. First of all, sorry it took me so long to get to this, and thank you very much. Thank you very much, man. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And great point. Thank you for bringing this up, by the way. Have a safe Halloween. Now, let's not get into the why I don't do Halloween and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. I don't really do Halloween. I don't really care for it, but that's fine. People do. But the point is this, going off of surviving behind enemy liberal lines, is that if you do go Halloweening, if you do bring your kids out Halloweening for candy, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, but please make sure that you check that candy. Make sure that you check all of their stuff and make sure that everything is like in its original packaging and something. I really wouldn't go with homemade stuff. And let me tell you why. It's because of what is it called? Fentanyl. From what I understand, that drug is a terrible drug that can do a lot of damage to a lot of people in very small amounts. So if you see that anything's tampered with, for goodness gracious, please check your kids' candies. I'm not here to tell you to go Halloween trick-or-treating or not to, but if you do, just check your stuff. Don't be putting yourself in a situation where you're going to get hurt from trying to do something that was fun with your kids. Hey, how you doing, Alberta Prepper? Good to see you. B. Walker said, those Michelin wiper blades are for heavy snow states only. Even those sold in old states. Don't buy unless you drive in the snow. Well, you know what? Those are really good wiper blades, whether they're for snow or not, though, B. Walker. I think what makes them the snow wiper blades is that they have like a rubber covering over its skeleton. I think that's what makes them, and but they're very good quality. So I think that you can use them in any state, no matter whether you have snow or not. Okay, let's bring it down. I'm gonna start bringing it down now, ladies and gentlemen. Gracious 48, you're killing me. On the go, ask. We made a root cellar out of a tin garbage can, potatoes. Already have I. What should the humidity? I have no idea what the humidity should be. I can't tell you that on the go. The way I keep my potatoes, like the ones I harvested this year, from the grow bags and the little mini garden, I guess you can call it. I just take them all. I of course don't clean them. You know, I take dirt off of them, but I don't wash them or nothing. I just took them and I put them all in a grow bag, in a dirty grow bag. You know, one of the grow bags that I took them out of, and then I put them in a dark room and I put a towel over them, and that's it, right? And I keep them on the floor where it's nice and cool, because our floor is nice and cool in the winter, and even during the summer it's nice and cool. And last year we were able to go through all of our potatoes, and I still had enough to grow this year's crop that I put out. So I'm always hoping that I can keep at least 20% that we don't eat, so that I can use for the next year's crop. But to tell you the truth, I don't know what the humidity should be. I can tell you that the humidity in our house during the wintertime is probably around 50% or so. It's about 50%. And then I do have a dehumidifier running that keeps it at 50%. In the summertime, that dehumidifier runs all day, all night, because it's a lot more humid in the summer. But I can tell you that it's about 50%. Jackman, when I retired as a 36 Bravo, which is finance. I was a finance soldier when I retired. I was a sergeant first class. And when I first started my Army career, I was a 13 Fox. But finance is usually where the Army takes and throws their broken soldiers to. I would not want to keep ghee in plastic containers for long term. You shouldn't be buying any ghee. All right, my prepper journey, you shouldn't be buying any ghee anyways. I show you how to make it, and it's really easy and a lot cheaper. But yeah, if I'm going to store it for long term, I'm going to have it in a glass container if it's ghee. Yeah. Okay, we're coming on down, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that, 1 hour and 37 minutes. I'm just seeing if I see something pop out, I'll grab it, but I didn't see anything. North of the 52nd, we don't do a Christmas for the food bank. We do it for Christmas fun drive. I do the food bank. That's what I do every year before Thanksgiving, and I'm still working, man. It's a lot of work messing around with those turkeys, but I'm still working on it. It's much more difficult to get turkeys this year. I'm still working on it, and I'm definitely gonna hopefully have it done before. Man, I'm hoping like in the next week or two to give them time to have it all set up for the donations that they give out to people that can't afford or can't get a turkey dinner. Here in the next week or two, I will start using my freeze dryer a lot more often, because now we are getting into winter, and the winter time is a great time because I can buy more meat than what I can store in the freezer, leave it in my back deck, and use that meat to cook and freeze dry it. And of course, during the wintertime, that room where I keep my freeze dryer is a lot cooler, and the freeze dryer does not like a hot room. I learned that this summer, where it took the freeze dryer like 2 times longer to freeze dry something than what it normally would have had it not been that warm in that room. So yeah, I'll be freeze drying, and most of what I freeze dry is proteins. All right, most of what I freeze dry is proteins. All right, I think that's it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have reached the end of this live stream. If you are new to the Alaska Prepper community, meaning that if you subscribe within the last 2 weeks or so, when we do our outro, please put I am new in all caps. That way we can shout you out by putting your name up on the screen so you can see it. All right. And let's see what else. And like I said, I have another video coming up later on today that I've already worked on, and I just need to edit it and all. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining in. Thank you for coming over and spending a little bit of your time today on Sunday. You know that I love doing this. There's a lot of fun, so I do appreciate you all being here. And let me see. I thought I saw a question here. No, you don't have to. Autumn Leaf, you know, you can if you want, but I wouldn't, because jelly beans have so much sugar in them. I'm afraid that the oxygen absorber will turn them into rocks, really hard as a rock. I think that jelly beans, if you vacuum seal them like with a food saver without an oxygen absorber, I think they will last a very, very long time. I mean, like super long, like years and years and years. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and finish it off. Again, say I am new in all caps if you are new. And if you're new to the live stream, put I am new in all caps also, so we can shout you out. Other than that, thank you very much to every one of our moderators. Love you, ladies. Thank you for always being here. And remember to be good to each other, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to have a great week ahead and a safe week at that. Make sure that you love on your family members, all right? Because, you know, who do you count on when the S really does hit the fan? It should be your family. So make sure that you're building those relationships now. So remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place. And you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to every one of you and your families. God bless you all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Alaska Prepper, and I'm out. Have a great week ahead.